Hello friends, welcome back to our little coffee club. It is now the next day after me actually doing this job. Okay, you see the machine here, it survived. I don't think I scratched anything or scuffed up anything, so stick around for the entire video if you like, so you could see me actually going through the process. But this is the next day and I'm getting ready to pull a couple of shots and try it out. First things first, the operation of the lever after getting the job done is extremely smooth. So obviously I put everything back together, everything worked out. Okay, now the reason why I want to include this clip first into the video is because some people might not stick around for the whole thing, they might not see the entire thing, and I want you to avoid the mistakes that I made. Okay, first of all, when I started the whole process, I had this wrench. The opening is 1¼ inches. Okay, this one is 1½ inches opening. 1½ inches is what you need. Okay, you need a flathead screwdriver like this. You see how I wrapped up the wrench and the screwdriver tip with electrical tape. Okay, that's the electrical tape. And I think it avoided me putting like any scratches or scuff marks on any of the nuts there that you see. The first thing you got to do is remove this screw. You take that out. There's a locking washer behind it, so be careful, don't lose it. You're gonna need it. Okay, you remove the little lever. The lever is supposed to be in the mid position like this. Not all the way up, not all the way down. Okay, so once you remove this out of the way, then you want to grab up to the back, the nut in the back. Okay, not the one in the front. They're supposed to be really hard to break them loose from each other, but in my case, that did not end up being, and this one just started coming out without actually moving the piece that we got to get out of the way. So just keep in mind, the one you got to move is the one in the back. So one thing I want to be clear, first of all, is that this is a 30-minute job. Do not shy away from it. It's very easy to do. With some practice, I could see this being a 15-minute job. So your first time, 30 minutes if all goes well, okay? The adjustable wrench, remember, you need the 1½. With the 1¼ you will be able to remove this. It will fit there, but it will not fit to remove the bottom one. And it ended up being that I had to remove the bottom one to put this back together. Okay, to remove it, no, you'll see in the video that I was able to pull it out with no problem, but I could not put it back in, and I didn't want to start fighting with the thing and break something for no reason when you could just remove this, and it ended up being super easy. Because the shaft that's in here is spring loaded, okay, it's gonna fight you from putting it back in there. So you have to kind of go like this to it, just add pressure, and then use your other hand to start screwing it in. And as soon as it bites, it should be real smooth. If it's not smooth after you get it to bite, so just be careful. Once it bites and you get it to start turning, it should be easy, real easy, nice and easy to go all the way to where it needs to go, okay? So if you get it to bite and it's not going in smooth, it's maybe because the threads did not go in properly and you're stripping them, so be careful. This here, it's also very simple. Now, the only thing I didn't, and I found the most difficult part of the job, okay, is this. For some reason, this nut back here, okay, the edges are rounded, not like this one that they're nicely squared off, so it gets the adjustable wrench to bite really well on here. On the back one, because it's a little bit rounded, why would they do that? Like, that doesn't even make sense, but whatever. It is what it is, guys, okay? It's a little bit rounded, and the wrench kind of slips on there, and you do have to put quite a bit of pressure to get it to break it loose, okay? Again, not a big deal. Anyone can do it. But take your time, make sure that it's biting on well, and then once you get it to break loose, then you're gonna have to start it with the wrench because it's still quite tight. You'll have to start turning it. Once you get it to start turning, then you could do it by hand, finish removing it, and then the shaft comes out after that. And it's real easy, okay? Don't shy away from it. It's an easy job. Okay, you guys are gonna see that I taped all of this up, okay? But if you have tape on here, and tape on here, then the tape just slips on itself and it doesn't work. So having tape just on here is enough to protect you from scratching, and it will be easy to turn everything, and you shouldn't have any problems. Again, this is what we do here, guys. We make coffee and we chit chat and we kind of help each other with all these things. So if you're new to the channel, consider joining us here. We need your help. we want to grow the channel a little bit so we can do some live videos. So give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So again, I think, oh, by the way, I answer everyone. So if you guys leave me a comment and you need to clarify something specifically, just leave me a message and I'll reply to you. In a second, I'm gonna pull a shot, but man, this thing is, look at this, it's smooth as silk, like super smooth. You guys will see how I wrapped everything with rags. That worked very well. So just in case the wrench slips or anything like that, you won't scratch up your machine. So, being careful to not scratch it up and stuff is the hardest part of the job. And then breaking this thing loose, because it is a little bit tight, and they did this thing where it's rounded, and that didn't help. But other than that, again, even your first time, I doubted this is gonna take you longer than like 40 minutes or something like that. And with a little practice, I could see this being a 15, 20-minute job. Hello, friends. Welcome back to our little coffee club. Today, I'm starting off a little bit different because this kind of videos, if somebody's searching for how to do this, perform this job, they'll be annoyed if I take too long getting right into it. So we're gonna get right into it. First, let me show you what you're gonna need in order to lubricate your cam for your brew lever. Okay, so basically a screwdriver, you need a lubricant that is food safe, something that's not gonna make you sick. You also want it to be heat, resistant to heat. And this one is made for kitchen equipment and all that good stuff. Is highly recommended, but it's not the one that most people use. But I'll try to include here on the screen the name and maybe a website of where you could find the one that most people use to lubricate the cam on the brew lever. And here's the machine. Okay, so, any machine using a group, E61 group head machine, you get into it roughly, not roughly, almost exactly the same as I'm gonna do here. So if you are on another machine that is an E61, it should be exactly the same procedure. Now, as you notice, I wrap things up in towels. Here's another thing I haven't seen people do. Like, why not protect your machine? Like, I want it to stay looking nice. So wrap it up. I use some rubber bands to kind of hold the towel out of the way so it's not hanging down, and maybe that's gonna cause its own problem. So it's wrapped up, but out of the way. So the very first thing we gotta do is remove the screw that's right here holding the handle. So let me put the tape on the screwdriver and then we'll continue. Okay, so now obviously due to the electrical tape, it's a little bit harder to get in there, but again, it avoids creating a problem here and scratching things up. So first you remove this. Okay, now I wrapped all of this up just because now I'm gonna use the wrench and this will be out of the way now, so maybe I could have realized that this would be out of the way, but anyway, why not? It doesn't hurt to wrap things up. So here's your lever and what it looks like. Everything's perfectly clean. Another thing that and this little washer is a locking washer. Make sure you don't lose that. One thing that is maybe I should note here is that what caused the grease that comes from factory to kind of got removed was the fact, well, through time it's going to get removed anyway. But what happened to me is that I did a back flush. I used the detergent, and if you do a back flush with the detergent, be mindful that this might happen to you as well. It's going to wash away the grease, and then you might have to end up doing this job. Okay, so again, I'm not saying not to do the back flush with the detergent. My decision is to do that at least maybe 2-3 times a year and wash it out. And if I have to remove this to lubricate it, then so be it. No big deal. I did notice that the lever got kind of stiffer and it was squeaking and so on and so forth, but it didn't dawn on me that it had been when I did the back flush with the detergent. All right, let's try to remove this piece. Okay, so that loosened up. It wasn't too difficult. I mean, it's the first time I do this, so I didn't want to try too hard and mess something up. So, but no, it was not too difficult. You turn it a couple times, and then you should be able to get the rest out by hand. Now, what I'm gonna do is remove the tape. I don't want the tape to kind of get in there and gunk things up or something. So let me remove the tape, and then I'll come back with you guys and show you the rest of removing it, taking it out. All right, so let's continue here. All right, so here's the thing. So you guys could learn from my mistakes. Again, it's my first time doing this. So what happened is that I grabbed the first one, and I thought that if I grabbed the first one, it would bring the other one out with it, right? But that's not what's happening. So as you could see, it loosened up, right? But it's still not moving the back piece. All right, so as much as I thought the tape was a good idea, I think I'm gonna have to remove it because no matter what I do, the wrench is just slipping on the tape and it doesn't really grab on. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna figure out how big this is and I'm gonna buy a wrench, and next time I have to do this job, I'm gonna use a proper wrench and not this. So, but for now, I think I'm gonna have to remove at least the tape that's on here. I'm gonna try to still leave the one that's on the wrench to try to remove this thing. So let me get back with you guys in a second. Right here is when I remembered that the brew lever needs to be in the halfway position. So halfway between the down position and the up position for brewing in order to remove the cam nice and easy. As you can see, I'm having to do a voiceover on this part because I forgot to turn on the microphone. It looks like while I had the tape on the nut, I had already broken it loose because on this part you could see it was already moving quite easily. So, it was a bit difficult to break loose, but not the end of the world. Anybody can get this done. Again, just make sure you put the tape on the wrench and not on the nut itself, or the tape just slips on itself. Now, once you break it loose, you do have to turn it quite a few times with the wrench itself because it's still like too tight. At least it was, in my machine. It's still too tight to do it by hand. But after a few turns, you will be able to start turning it by hand, and then you could get the rest of it out. As you could see on this part, it's pretty easy to remove this piece from the camshaft. But when it comes time to put the camshaft back through that little hole, it is not that easy. It's very tight, and you're gonna have to use quite a bit of lubricant to get that shaft to go back inside of there and to put it back in place. You will see that a little bit later here. Now on this part, I'm pointing out how you could see the little pin there. That little pin is coming from the bottom piece. And that little pin is what controls the valves that are below there to release the pressure every time you brew. So every time you bring your brew lever down, the cam spins around, pushes that shaft down, and it opens the pressure release valves. As you could see, it comes off pretty easily. I also pointed out that, the same way that you have one of those little shafts there riding on the cam, on the bottom, there's also one on the top. And the one on the top is the one that opens up when you put the machine to brew, and it opens for the water to be able to flow in through your group head. All right, so as you guys could see on my machine, this kind of came a bit loose because I've seen other videos where they have to use two different pliers to kind of break these apart from each other. But on my machine, it was, as soon as I put the plier on here, it brought just this out. And so then that's why I didn't know exactly what was going on there. And I had to remove the tape off of here. So, moving forward, putting tape on this one, maybe not, because again, it'll just cause this to slip. Now, tape on the wrench, that did work. As you could see, the tape is still on there holding up. And I imagine that will protect it from getting scuffed up and stuff. Now, if there is some tape residue, I'll remove all of this and show it to you guys once it's all cleaned up. As far as the little cam, so you could see the cam here, there's like no grease whatsoever on it. That's why it was squeaking, and that's why the functioning of the lever was stiff and it wasn't as smooth as it was in the beginning. But there is I can't really tell there's any wear on here. It looks fine. But again, all these parts are rarely available. You can easily find them in websites, and E61 groups are, have been made for many, many years, and everything easy to find stuff. And that's one of the reasons why this made this an end game machine for me, because of the availability of the parts, how everything is made so that you could get in there and do the maintenance and this kind of thing. You can do it yourself. Okay, so this piece looks like new. There's like no grease or dirt or anything in here. You guys, I took a couple of pictures of where this came out of, and you'll see the two little shafts that run up and down on here on the cam. and they go up and down with this cam to open up valves. Okay, so it turns out that this nut here is at 22 millimeters. 22 millimeters fits this like a glove. And I could not find the top one. The top one, you know, it should be 26 millimeters because I tried 25, it didn't fit, and 27 was completely loose. So 26 should be the right fit. I tried to find something in standard to maybe make it work here, but I couldn't find one in standard either. Now I did Google it, and Home Depot, it does sell a 26 millimeter. They just, I guess they didn't have it at the store, but you could order it online. All right, so let's just get back to this. I'll make it work with this adjustable wrench like everyone else does it. I mean, this is so archaic. Why would like professional mechanics that work on this all the time, why not have the correct wrenches? Okay, because I still don't know if I can make this work without removing the bottom piece. There's still a lot of doubt in my mind as to being able to get that back in there. But let me put some lubricant on this thing. Again, it's very clean. I'm just gonna lubricate everything and try to put it back in there and show you guys. Okay, so here we go. Okay, again, I bought this for my niche zero, not really for this, but you guys know how I don't waste anything, so I'm gonna make it work somehow. Anyway, it is food safe. It's supposed to be heat resistant and all that good stuff. It says that it's long lasting and all this kind of stuff. They hype it up a lot, so hopefully it's good stuff. Okay, so just drop some lubricant like this on it, and then let's just spread it out. Again, this was bone dry. There was no lubricant on this whatsoever. Just dab it on there. All right, that's enough. Let me try to get some inside on the little tips of the pins that you guys saw that ride on this cam. So I'm gonna try to reach in there and just put a little dab of lubricant on each one of those. All right, so I put a little bit on there. The last thing to do here, so I'm gonna put some on the threads here, just to kind of protect them and make sure it goes in and out easily. All right. Okay, so first things first, let's try to put this piece back in. All right, let's see if we can make this work. If not, we'll have to find another method. Maybe we have to remove the bottom piece. Hopefully not. So just as I thought, because these things are spring loaded, right now they are fighting against you and they're kind of in the way, and you can't get the little cam into place. So therefore, I'm gonna have to remove the bottom piece. Give me a second. Okay, so this wrench here, it is not big enough to fit on here. So, you know, back to Home Depot we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that if you use enough force or enough finesse or whatever, you can get this back in there. But, you know, I'm not gonna keep trying to force this in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take out the bottom piece. So I just got back from Home Depot. I got an even bigger wrench. So this is the biggest one they had there. So if this one doesn't work, then I don't know. Yeah, it definitely fits. Let's see if I can get this for you guys. You know, this is really, it's an easy job. It really is. If you do this a couple of times, it should be real easy. If you have all the tools, you don't have to be running to Home Depot or none of that stuff. So, no. No, it's the other way. So it spins away from me. Okay, and I mean, you guys saw there in real time that it kind of, you know, it breaks loose, you know, I wouldn't say like extremely easy, but it's not hard. It's not difficult at all. And And neither was the other one. You know, the other one, you know, if it's your first time and you're being extra careful, you know, I could see how it could take you a little while to, you know, to use enough force or whatever to kind of, you know, you go slow so that you don't mess anything up. So, but really, is this by any means difficult or very time consuming? No. Your first time, make sure you watch enough videos that you see the kind of problems that people run into. You know, one thing being the tools, you know. All right, I know it's gonna pop down as soon as it comes loose because, again, I'm telling you guys it's spring-loaded. As a matter of fact, this bottom one was easier to take off than the other one, and the one that holds the brew lever. Again, wrapping the wrenches in tape, I think is a very good idea. It doesn't bother anything, and you know, it's less likely to scratch things. I think I can do this by hand already, but the thing is I want to have my hand on the bottom like this. Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right, so here's the other piece. This is the bottom one, and you could see the spring there. You know, the shaft. It's a little shaft, the spring, and there's another little piece in here. Let's see what this is. This little brass piece. I'm not sure what this thing is, but it just holds, I guess it's where the shaft sits into that little piece once it goes all the way down. But wow, this is super clean. Okay, let me see if I can show you guys. Again, this would be so much easier if I had like a little bit of help with the light and the camera and all that stuff. But okay, so I think you could see it there. I had already put a little dab of grease on the tip of this because this is what, you know, this is what rides on that cam. As the cam spins and pushes this valve down, if you could see there. So there's one that rides on the bottom of it and one that rides on the top of it. And they open and close the two different valves. I mean, there's a little gasket here that I know as part of the, you know, maintenance with the E61s. Eventually you have to replace these little gaskets and stuff. But anyway, on my machine, everything's like new. You can see all the way in there now. And you could see this is spotless. It's extremely clean. So I'm not doing anything to any of this. I'm just gonna put the shaft in there, and then we'll put everything back together. And if it wasn't for the trips to Home Depot and all the stuff that's been going on here, I would have been done, you know, a long time ago. I'm gonna put a little dab of grease on the gasket. They say that you should, you know, add a little bit of grease on the gasket, that it protects it. Okay, so now putting this thing in place, since it doesn't have the bottom one, obviously it's very simple. Okay, it goes in like that. Okay, back in with this one. Okay. Okay, this time I got it in there so much easier because, again, practice and then becomes simple. Now, I have a feeling this is going to go in a lot easier this time, but nevertheless, we're adding some more of this because I don't want to be fighting this thing. Okay. All right, here we go. Still have to say, it's not the easiest thing in the world. And I know that the camera probably can't focus properly there, but Doesn't matter, you see what's going on here. Okay. All right, that's all the way where it goes. Now I just have to tighten it. And then the cleanup begins. Okay. See, I want to start this thing by hand because I don't want to, like that it goes in improperly and it strips. Okay, it seems to be going in smooth, so I don't think there's, yeah, definitely. Yeah, now I can easily turn it. Not sure if you guys could see that, but just as soon as it catches and everything is lubricated, like everything moves super smooth there. I had no problems. My understanding is that there's just one way this is gonna go in. Like you won't be able to put it back together if you did it wrong. Okay, so now the last step, we have to tighten everything up. You know, honestly, I spend more time at Home Depot than with everything else that I've done here. Seriously, the drive and the experience at Home Depot was longer than the actual work that I've done. I've done very little work. I like actual working has been, I don't know, 30 minutes. This is very easy to do. Okay, I'm not gonna super tighten it. That should be good enough. Let me do this by hand. Because again, it's just, right now, it's very easy to move. I could see, like, with some practice, this job can be done in 20 minutes. This is like a 20-minute thing, you know, that's it. If you have the tools, you've done it a couple times, it's just nothing to it. Okay, I'm gonna not over tighten that one either. Okay, so that's in there. I mean, not much to that, super easy. Let me put this back on. Again, everything, all these things, start turning them by hand to make sure that they went in the right way so you don't strip any threads or anything. I gotta back up the phone or put it in a different angle or something. Let me figure something out. I don't know, maybe from here. Let me see. But now the thing is, it's gonna focus on my hand and not on the... Okay. Okay, there's no squeak or anything. It's nice and smooth. I just gotta do a whole bunch of cleaning. Let me clean everything up and I'll catch up with you guys later. Okay, let me pull, I'm not gonna drink the first shot. I got a little sacrificial coffee here. I'll pull one shot to just kind of, and then I'll flush it out again a little bit more, and then I'll actually pull a shot with the Good Brothers and taste it, and then maybe make me a cappuccino. So if you wanna stick around from here on out, go ahead. I will also try to make two versions of this video, a more condensed version where it's just kind of like I cut out a lot of the nonsense, and then a longer version for my usual viewers that usually hang out with me for an hour or longer. I don't know how long this is gonna end up being, but anyway, all right, let's pull some shots, and this will be it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and again, give that video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Believe it or not, this is the short video, so oh my goodness. If you want to see the shots I pulled that day and all of my struggles, come back to see the long version of this video next time. It'll be posted soon on the channel. I appreciate you guys a whole bunch. For now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.